I tell you. Good morning, folks. As you know, first off, I'm jWesley, and
Good morning, Lizzy Gabor here.
we tend to start a little bit early just to give you some background flavor of who we are, what we are. Lizzy has introduced music to our program, and that's very nice. First off, commercial, but today, what we're doing differently, I'm about all over the place here, is we're doing micro campaign dialogues about events and concepts. And this month of January is about overthinking, underthinking expectations, things of that nature. And the topic today is the issue of want versus need. Maybe it's different, maybe it's the same, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. And before I go into that, I have to do a commercial break. Remember, please, to look at us through LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. If you do YouTube, please sign in because we always want your comments, we want your feedback, we want your questions. Always remember to subscribe and share us with other people out there also. And particularly if you have questions or comments. That being said, we also do live performances at 8 o'clock in the morning. Or is it 8:30? It is 8 o'clock, duh.
Still 8 o'clock.
Always 8 o'clock, just testing the market out there. But we do reruns of sorts. So if you leave comments in the rerun section, we do audit that. We give comment back on that also. So the month's topic is again needy, wanty, to say it in that manner. And I'm going to share off with a story that, for those who've never seen us before, Lizzy is a right brain avatar. Wellness, wholeness, healthiness. I'm a left brain guy. Let's get it done. And I don't make any sense at all of what she's sharing with me, but she's trying to get in my head and convert me. So we have this ongoing struggle happening here. So in terms of want and need, that I have said that as a kid, I wanted to be grown. And I wanted to be grown because nobody would boss me, tell me when to do my chores. I have to go to bed when I can get up. I have to go to school. I can be my own person, make my own decisions in my entire life. And I really believe that. But at some point, as time went by, I began to realize that if I want to be grown, I needed to grow up. So anyway, let's see how Lizzy handles this one.
Don't ever.
Converting the want to the need.
I would say don't ever grow up.
Okay. There we go. You're right about that. I'm still growing up, I think, I hope.
I think, but I think the difference is a lot of times that with that childlike behavior, which I love. I think we should approach life with a childlike wonder. But a lot of times, our child mind is very focused on short-term gains, rather than long-term pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's important to think about those things, about what it is that is going to get you where you want to be, say in the long term, versus how you're going to feel about something that you do for maybe a pleasure that you're going to get in the moment that maybe is not going to serve you long term.
Well, I hear that, but in all fairness, as a 13-year-old boy,
Mhm.
I knew if I got to be 16, I realized two things. That there's a federal law that said you had to stay in school until you were 16. Otherwise, the truant officer would come find you. I guess that's still out there. I don't know one way or the other. And then maybe at 18, then I'm an adult. I'm on my own. I never thought the cost factor to make my own money. I had to do my own stuff. So it wasn't like I want candy tomorrow or the ice cream truck is going by and I want 25 cents. It wasn't quite like that. So I had a strategic thought in my head. I had no idea how to get there, by the way. And maybe what you're saying is that to go from a want to a need, you have to have some sense of how it's going to happen.
Yeah, and what it's going to entail. I mean, like you're saying, like when you get your license, say your driver's license, you're so excited that you're going to be able to drive and you're free. But most likely you're going to need to pay for gas, and you're
Mm.
going to need to pay for insurance and those things that we don't always think about. But those are the realities of having a license, a responsibility that goes along with it. And so that might mean that you don't go off just joy driving all over. You actually you know, you use your car in order to get to work so that you can have the money to pay for gas. I know it's not as sexy, but the reality is that that's, you know, that's how it is. You have to.
But you make a good point. The reality is, and here's the challenge for me, that it's easy to have a want, very easy to have a want. The need comes at a price. To realize, rephrase that, to convert the want to the need. Is there a sequence of magic buttons that one goes through to get an understanding on that?
Well, I think it's like, what is your priority? You know, like if your priority um, is that you want to get a good night's sleep, but you want to, you know, you want to speak to your friend till 2 a.m. You know, you have to weigh what's the outcome that you're looking for. Is the outcome that you want to wake up rested, or is the outcome that you know, you're going to forego that and you're going to really, you know, want to have that time with your friend? Or could you say, you know what, let's have this conversation tomorrow at a time when we both can speak, that we're not, you know, working and, you know, it's not going to get into ruining my night's sleep or my plans that I have for, you know, for tomorrow morning of working out or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So it's thinking about, you know, what's the lure? What's the, you know, is the lure that you, what do you really desire out of this outcome? Do you know, so weighing those things, the want versus what it is that you need, and then making a decision and going with it. I always say, make the decision, and then, you know, and then live with it.
I hear that, and that makes perfect sense. I guess another challenge for me to consider is when does the want list, rephrase that, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying a want is not necessarily essential, whereas a need implies important essential concept. I need to breathe to stay alive. I get that. I need to drink water. I really need to go on a diet. So there's some things I get kind of intuitively. But the challenge is, how do I make a informed decision? See, she's into this mindfulness stuff. I'm trying to use her concepts from converting a want to a need. Does it? And if I get the needy list too long, does that get in the way? I guess that's part of the dialogue here. How do I discriminate or funnel or properly, whatever? I'm not even asking it well, but is there?
Yeah, well, I think I mean, of course, yes, we know what our actual survival needs are. You know, we talked about that, I think, last time. You know, but then there's our emotional needs, and that's where it can be, things can get a little bit blurry because they can be different from person to person, and also they can be different from, you know, within ourselves from at different times, what we you know, what we think that we need. So I think, again, it's about awareness. It's about taking a look at, you know, how do I want to feel, you know, based on, if I do this, I'm going to feel this way, and if I do that, I'm going to feel this way. And so then it's, you know, it's like sorting and sifting, you know, how is it that I want to feel? And like the contrast of, if I do this, I'm going to be over here. If I do this, I'm going to be over here, you know, over here. And so getting some clarity around that, I think, is important to ask yourself. I think it's important to ask yourself, what is it that I need? What do I want? What do I need this morning? What do I need today? What do I want? What do I want? You know,
Well,
I might want this stuff, but I need to feel nourished in a way that eating the foods that make my body, you know, make me feel good. So, you know, I think it's important to ask yourself those questions.
I hear that. Now, see, that's where I get lost in the wording, because you did say at least twice how I want to feel versus how I need to feel. And the words imply a distinction of value, of purpose, of concept. And rephrase that. Let me say this differently. I hate exercising with a passion, but I realize if I want to be a hunk, I got to exercise. There's no way around that. I haven't reached that goal yet, but I keep plugging at it. And when I'm a biology major, have some sense of science. And when I watch TV and people exercising, they're grinning. I'm saying, what are they grinning about? Now, I know the theory of it, that you release the endorphins in the air, that it fuses through the whole environment. Oh, I feel so euphoric about the concept of it, and I'm grinning. I don't see it. I don't get it. So I don't want to exercise. I'm not even sure if I need to be a hunk, but I want to be a hunk, therefore I need to exercise. I'm talking a circular argument. So how does one kind of break out of that loop or make that decision? Or do you want to be
Well,
lean enough to exercise? Do you need to look better? I don't know. What are we
well, I
talking?
think again, I think there's very few people, although I actually am somewhat one of them, so don't hate me, people. But I do happen to enjoy exercise. I enjoy the movement. I enjoy being present
That's
in
why I
it.
don't get along.
I actually really enjoy like exercise where it's like where you're climbing and hiking. You have to be really in the moment. You have to be there, otherwise you're going to fall off the cliff.
Sure.
But on the flip side, I think that oftentimes we have to put that grin on, even though we don't really want to have that grin on, because we're kind of, we visualize that future self. We visualize, even like, it reminds me again, I think I spoke about this, but the Holocaust survivor, and actually my mother-in-law is a Holocaust survivor,
Okay.
and she was, we were talking the other day, and just about, when they got home from the Holocaust, all their family was gone. There was no guys available that were, in their 20s that were, around, because they were all killed.
Mm-hmm.
But so any guy that they found, it was like they wanted a family. They wanted to, to not be alone. So
Mm-hmm.
they got married to whoever was available, because it was fulfilling that need. Whether
Right.
they would have chosen that person, in another, if things were different, she's like, no, probably not.
Mm-hmm.
What the choices that were available. So I think that in our society now, there's so many choices, there's so much excess, that we think we need this new thing, we think we need, but really, if we think about it and we put it in a little perspective of can we afford it? What is it that it's going to cost us if we spend the money? For example, I think that we can learn a lot from people who've gone through tougher times and what they were able to, get by with,
Mm-hmm.
just for perspective, speaking on perspective alone. But with going back to what you said about exercise, sometimes it is just, I'm going to put on the happy face for whatever it is, because this is the situation I'm in. I made this decision that I want to look good. And so, it actually, even they say just a smile alone changes our biology,
Mm-hmm.
so even if it's a fake smile,
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes that's also, you go into a job with a boss that's not nice. If you go in all geared up with, like ready to fight, the outcome's not gonna be as good as if you go in, hello, how are you this morning? Would you like some coffee?
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to shift things. So being mindful of that, that sometimes, you're going to have a better outcome if you respond in a way that's, that's kinder to yourself, kinder
Mm-hmm.
to the around you. If you're following,
I hear that,
follow.
and I think maybe what I'm hearing here, I'm not going to say I follow her, because like I said, she keeps trying to get into my head, but I won't acknowledge that. But I hear it. I hear it. That being said, what I'm beginning to comprehend is that when you need to do something, it really has to be done by you, or whatever happens. When you want to do it, there's more of a slight iffy, wishy, washy sliding scale on that. So maybe it's the degree of commitment of your involvement. You say being mindful of it, that determines a want versus a need.
Well, I think it's, what does the thing that you want, what do you need to do in order to have that thing that you want, is what
Mm-hmm.
I think is what is important to think about. So,
Mm-hmm.
you need to exercise in order to have that body that you want.
Mm-hmm.
You need to learn this skill in order to have this job that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so assessing that, and asking yourself those questions, I think, is a really smart thing to do. And it's funny. I mean, in business, I know this, Joe. Like, I mean, I tend to, with clients, you know, you 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 want to tell them that you're going to give them what they want,
Mm-hmm.
say, but really, what's important is you got to give them what they really need, and they don't need to. They don't always know that,
True.
going in, and it's not being deceitful. It's just that people kind of follow what they want rather
Mm-hmm.
than oftentimes doing what they need. In order for whatever that thing is that they want, whether it's health, whether it's romance, whether it's the job, whatever area.
Interesting that you say that toward the almost 15 minutes again, folks. That
Mm-hmm.
next month is setting boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And so I alluded to the concept of being needy. And I believe that's maybe a sense of value interpretation? Am I needy or you needy? For example, let's say this differently: expectations, overthinking, underthinking. To me, it's kind of the same thing. And my wife had said one time, several times, and Lizzy's pounced on it. She's asking, are her eyebrows even before we go out to a social function? Now I'm looking at her like, are you serious? And she's looking at me like I'm a cretin. Like, don't you get the importance of this? So it was important to her that she needed to have those eyebrows even. I didn't even look, and she hadn't brought them up. And I'm trying to sound like I'm sincere and seem like I'm focused. What is she talking about in the eyebrow? So the question is in setting boundaries. I think it's still relative, and we'll talk more about that next session. But just to let you know, if you have any questions with setting boundaries for the month of February, please holler out to Lizzy or myself. The contact information is included in the YouTube side of this.
The good month, boundaries, baby. Boundaries are so good. Learning how to say no as a complete sentence.
Yeah, my wife does it all the time to me.
And I mean, and emotional needs, like you were saying, versus, like certain needs, like she doesn't need to have her eyebrows, but in order for her to feel safe and secure going outside, that's something that she needs. So then you just, you do it for her, which I love.
Yeah, well, I do it out of necessity. I got to survive. It's a tough world out there being a husband. You guys, husbands, understand what I'm talking about
right?
here.
It's her emotional need. It's your survival need.
So. I guess the concept is not to be overwhelmed. As you talk about being mindful, being aware of the moment, the priorities of the moment, the essence of the moment, is that kind of what you're saying as we signed out here?
Again, how's it that you want to feel? I mean, if you're overworking, I was talking to somebody yesterday and she's just working herself, to the grave, really. And for what? I mean, she's not having any life. It's like, so yeah, it's putting things into perspective. How do you want your life to be? I believe in balance. I believe in having some balance. I believe in working hard. I believe in playing hard. I believe in resting hard. It's a lot of things to talk about. And I think boundaries are something that we don't always, again, get very blurry these days because of all the ways that people enter into our world. And there's, so having those clear boundaries are really going to be something that I think is going to be a juicy topic for us for this.
Looking forward to February already. I'm already pumped up. Folks, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much, folks. Everybody take good care.